Okay, we just finished with the Sarah response. Now we're continuing on with the 8 steps to success. All right, next there's 9 action steps for the perfect answers. So this is really covered in your textbook. This is where you prepare. If you're preparing for an oral board, you need to have at least 20 or 30 questions prepared, written out, just like I show in these 9 action steps, so that when you are sitting there answering them and you're stressed, you've practiced, you've prepared, and you have all this stuff you can pull from. So I'm going to review these really fast, but your textbook goes into this at length. So first thing you're going to do is find 20 or 30 questions. In your textbook, I have a lot of questions. Online, you can research them. Even in this PowerPoint at the end, I'm going to have a lot of questions. So choose different questions, okay? So that you don't want to choose them all the same, because if they ask you a question that's out of your wheelhouse, you're not going to be prepared. So be prepared for all different types of questions. Then you take one piece of paper, so you might have 20 or 30 pieces of paper, and write that question on top. Then you're going to do an outline with what your answer is. It's different. What have I done to prepare for the job is going to be different than somebody else. So I'm going to write bullet points and take some time, a couple days to think about it, so I can remember everything I've done. If I need to research, I can do some research too. Then I'm going to take those bullet points, and now I'm going to actually hand write out an actual essay. So if I were to speak it word for word, this is what I would say. And I'm going to do that for all my questions. Next, I'm going to take that essay that I hand wrote, and I'm going to type it. The reason you're doing it twice is so you can keep getting used to it and seeing any mistakes or add to it. Okay? Then you're going to create an acronym from that typed out essay that you did. So for example, it may be Northwest, maybe your acronym. N may stand for all of the nice things that I've done for people and volunteered, and E may stand for my education, and it's just going to be something that helps me remember all the things I need to cover, because believe me, when you get stressed, you forget what you want to say, but those acronyms help you remember. And then you want to read aloud your answers. And then when you're walking or you're driving somewhere, ask yourself, okay, one of my questions is, why do I want to be a cop? Or why do I want to go into law enforcement? Or what are my strengths? Or what are my weaknesses? Oh, my acronym is this. And you start speaking it aloud, and you just practice a lot. Okay, here we go. We're on to returning on to step 4 of our 8 steps to success. You need to practice aloud. Steps, dressing. 5th step, dressing. Okay, I recommend for any candidate a business suit, pants. I recommend dark colored, and like a white shirt, solid color, jacket, optional depending on the weather, belt, dress shoes. And then I recommend for the hair, makeup, facial hair, all of that, you follow the policy. Look at the policy for the job you want. And if it's an officer, how do they wear their hair? How do they require facial hair? How do they require jewelry, tattoos? Are they required to be covered? And you follow that whenever you do your oral board interview or you go to that department for anything. You are always dressing to impress. Okay, next, the mock oral board interview. The way to do that is, if you take this class, we're going to be doing some things to help you practice. If you want to, when I offer the face-to-face class, you can come do a mock oral board interview when I bring in real police professionals and go through it. The more you go through it, the better you get. Or video record yourself. Have family and friends ask you questions. The more you can do a mock practical of it, the more you practice, the better you're going to get. Next, professionalism. Shake hands. Know how to recognize an officer from a sergeant and a lieutenant by what they wear on their sleeves, or a chief or a sheriff. And if somebody, when you walk in that room, if somebody says, hello, my name is Sergeant Smith, remember that name. And when you exit, thank you, Sergeant Smith. Eye contact. These are all parts of that paramilitary type of work environment. Next is a study plan. In your textbook, I give a couple 3 and 6 month study plans. You can make your own for the time limit you have, but make sure you have one and you stick to it. All right, superhero state of mind. There we go. Hands on hip, looking up in the air. Before you go in there, you stand outside by your car, and you think of yourself. You don't want to do it in front of the department. You don't want people going, what are they doing? But stand in your car, sit in your car, and think, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to do great. I have practiced, I have studied, I am going to master this, because I'm going to make a great whatever cop, or I'm going to make a great victim's advocate, whatever you're going to be great at. And think it in your mind, because you've practiced, you've studied, you're ready. All right. Questions. What types of questions are asked? So every question that is asked is generally written by a consultation with a subject matter expert or someone that has knowledge in the field, or a chief or sheriff. All questions are generally asked the same way on an initial oral board interview of each candidate. It's not fair to ask one candidate 10 follow-up questions and another candidate not. It doesn't give them the same opportunity. And panel members aren't going to ask about marital status, political beliefs, or religious affiliation. Location. They're gonna tell you where you go and what time you respond. Know where that interview is located. Drive there before. Park, walk. See how long it takes you. My theory is, if you are 15 minutes early, you're on time. And if you're on time, you're late. So make sure you think about that when you're responding. Also, make sure you have a portfolio and have enough for every person on the panel. They may not take it. A lot of places don't. But if they do take it, you're going to look that much more professional. Also, always keep a running resume. I wish I would have kept my resume back 30 years ago, 35, 40 years ago, because there's lots of things I know I have done throughout the years, but man, I have forgotten. And if I would have kept a running resume, always adding to it, I would always have those accomplishments there and the training I had and the knowledge I have. So make sure you keep a running resume. All right, negative panel members. There's always going to be panel members that don't smile, that don't make eye contact. They just write the whole time. That's okay. Don't be discouraged by them. When you practice, have a family member do that so you're prepared for it. Because don't let how a panel member reacts towards you, just if they're not shaking their head or smiling, that's okay. Not all of them do. Okay, you can pause here, but these are things not to do during the interview. In the digital resources to this chapter in the textbook, I have a number of examples of what not to do. And I know you're probably going to laugh and go, I would never do that. But these are all things that I've seen done during interviews. So the reason I want you to watch them is so you remember how bad they look and so not to do them. All right, now I get to the sweet part. This is what I call the 3 golden ticket tips. And I don't give it to you till this point in the chapter because I want to make sure you do all those things I've talked about up to this point. Because if you do all those things and you add these 3 golden ticket tips, you're going to be unstoppable. The first one is, whenever you can, include a personal story in your answers. So if they say, what is a strength of yours? Or what is a weakness? And all you say is, well, one of my strengths is I'm a very nice person. Okay? Well, a lot of people may say that. Include a personal story. I'll give you an example. When I used to work in the mall, I had people come in all the time that got really angry because they had called and they said that somebody had told them that there was a certain product that was supposed to be here and they came here, it wasn't here. They were really angry. Do you see how I was hooking you with that story? You wanted to hear the end of it? Panel members are no different. You want to make yourself stand out. The way you do that is hooking that personal story. Or example, the question, why do you want to be a cop? Or why do you want to do this? A lot of people are going to say, I have an education. Okay, make it personal. Well, when I was at Southern Oregon University working on my bachelor's degree, I took an introduction to law enforcement class and we did a shoot, don't shoot. Or I took a law enforcement test prep class and I'm FEMA ICS 100 certified. Hint, hint, you all are going to be FEMA certified. So you include that personal story. You tell about classes you took. So a lot of people are going to say they have their degrees. How are you going to make it personal? Talk about a class you took or what you learned or what you did that made it special. Tip 2, do a complete circle in your answers. When you write an essay, you just don't go blah. You have an introduction, you have a body, and you have an end that you sum it up. Do that in your answers, okay? Finally, if you don't say it or explain it, you're going to fail it. The panel members only have to grade you on what you tell them and what you give them. And if you don't give it to them, they're going to only grade you one way. All right, role playing. That's why I want you guys to talk out. Wherever you go, role play. And what do I mean by that? Prepare for your oral board. Cops do it. When I was driving to a domestic battery call between a brother and sister, I was going, okay, if I get there and they're in the front room, I'm going to do this. If I get there and they're out front, when I'm parking, I'm going to do this. So when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're exercising, be running through these questions in your mind and answering them aloud whenever you can. All right, here's some example questions. You can pause these to give an idea of where to start, okay, so that you can start preparing for your oral board. And like I said, you can pause these and read them further. All right, that ends this video. We'll see you for the next one.